Hi there everybody, Verity here from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. Thank you for joining me again today for another card making tutorial. We're going to make this card today, which turned out so pretty. I was just playing around with some stuff and I was really impressed with how it turned out. This uses some products from the annual catalogue, primarily the Many Mates bundle. So this is a cling mount stamp set with some really great sentiments, and you can use them in pairs as well, so there's something from the outside and the inside should you wish to use them. And we've got these like superb detailed dies which are just phenomenal. So obviously that's what I've used in the background there, so we're going to use that today as well. Many Mates, and then a whole series of the punches. So these are sort of my three, if you're going to want florals and things like that, my personal recommendations would be to get the small bloom, the medium daisy and the sprig punch. So these three I've used several times in previous videos to create flowers of all sorts, and I think they really do complement each other really well. Okay, so it's those three punches: the small bloom, medium daisy and the sprig. They're the ones we're going to use. I'm just going to unlock those and put them to one side ready over there. And then the sentiment is going to be cut using the double oval punch, which is in the January to June catalogue, and that happens to fit quite nicely around the sentiments in that set. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Okay, so there's this die is really super detailed. So I've already gone ahead and done that. Most of the bits will come out, but you will find that there are little bits on these little tiny sections that may hold on. So those might need a bit of a poke out with a take your pick tool or something. So just bear with it, but it is such a fantastic die. It is well worth the effort. Okay, now I've cut that in Very Vanilla this time. And we are changing up the colourway, as you might imagine. We're actually going to use Highland Heather as our base colour, with the Very Vanilla instead. Okay, so I've already got a card base cut and scored there, a Very Vanilla layer. So that layer is 1/4 inch smaller than usual, so it is 3 3/4 by 5.5. Got my die cut already. We're going to do something else with that in a minute. And then I've got some scraps of soft sea foam, a bit of vellum, some more Very Vanilla for the sentiment, and a bit of Highland Heather for the flowers and stuff. So that's that. I'm just going to bring in some scrap paper because we're going to do some ink blending as well as some little cutting up of this die. The die sized really for the American card bases, which are just shorter and wider than ours. Now my get out with that is to actually cut this down. So what we're going to do is take off one of these lengths and then just trim up the edges so that it makes it look nice and neat. So we're going to cut away this section on the left hand side here. So the long section, basically, there's sort of a short side and a long side, so we're going to cut off this bit on the long side. You can do this in a trimmer or a guillotine, just need to be super careful that you get in the right piece. This bit could be used for another project, of course. Okay, now we're just going to keep going round and just tidy up the edge, because this little decal edge is now missing from the left there. We're going to cut it off all 4 sides. So take that, and we've just got these little teeny tiny pieces that we need to just square off. I've done other cards before where I've cut even more of these down. So you really can play around with this die and cut it into more sections if you want. So you could go up the middle again and have like sort of two skinny bits to use, or cut it in half in the other way on the short side. So we've got two of them, we could have two of them, you know, so there's lots of things we could do with it. It did cross my mind too that you could very carefully cut out a section from the middle and almost make like a frame, which would be really, really cool. In fact, shall we do it? Shall we change it here and now? Or do you think... Might save that for another time. Let's just stick with the programme rather than change it halfway. So now that I've cut that down, you can see now it fits much better in terms of proportions onto that card layer and that. So they're just smaller versions of each other, aren't they? In terms of proportion, that fits much better if you do it that way. Okay. We're going to apply some ink to this just to give it a bit of contrast from the background layer. So I'm going to take the coordinating Highland Heather ink and one of the blending brushes, and I'm going to go in from one corner. Ooh, try not to bend it like I just did. It'll be fine when we stuck it down. Like so. Just going to bring some residual ink down the side there. Not going to re-ink it. And then we're going to do exactly the same on this corner. So we'll have sort of opposing corners with a fair bit of colour on it. And then a bit more subtle around the edges. Okay, so we're going to go for this sort of ombre look, if you like. If I'd have thought about this a week or so ago, these would have gone really well with the Oh So Ombre paper. Could have inked it and then laid it over the top of that, which would have been really, really cool. We'll put away the ink pad just for now, just so, mainly so that I just don't stick my fingers in it, really, to be honest. So there's our piece, and we can get this adhered to our layer. I'm just going to use a silicone craft sheet simply because I just don't want to get any glue on my desk. But if you catch these little spaces here are perfect for a little speck of glue, and if you just go around those outer ones, a couple in the middle. Ooh, that's a bit heavy. Just a speck of glue in each one of those will keep that in place nicely. And then we'll just stick that down. Just hold that down just for a sec. Because it's just a small amount of glue, that will not take long to hold in place, but it'll just firm up while we are punching and doing our other bits and pieces. So that little crease there is no longer visible. Isn't that lovely? Okay, so that's ready to use in a bit. So let's do some punching. I'm going to use scrap of Highland Heather, and we'll cut 3 of those. The small bloom punch, that is. Our sprig punch with soft sea foam. just like that. Punches are just marvellous. They are really, really great tools. Then we're going to have 3 of the medium daisy. Now, when you're punching vellum, it can sometimes get caught in the punch, so just be patient with it, and it should ease itself out. Sometimes it gets really stuck, and you've got no option but to tear out your vellum, so I would suggest cutting down a piece to punch out anything, so that you're not ruining a whole sheet or anything. Super simple, and all we need to do is layer these together and get those drying out, and then while those are drying, get our sentiment punched as well. Add a bit of shape to those if you want, just nice. So vellum just gives us an extra element of texture. Okay. Again, just using the craft sheet just in case some of that glue squidges out from behind. So those are going to dry for a moment or two, and we will stamp and punch the sentiment. So I'm going to stick with the happy birthday just because we can, but there's a whole variety of sentiments that we can use, and to tie it in we'll put that onto Very Vanilla. Okay, and we will bring in our double oval punch, and I'm just using the decal portion there. Get that centered in there, just look through the back, get it centered as best you can, and then punch that out. Choo! There we go. So it doesn't take long when you're doing a project that uses punches. It really doesn't take very long to put together at all. We want a couple of dimensionals on the back of this ready to go. So there we go. And then we just need to put things together. So here's our card base and our decorative panel. That ink on there just really does bring that out. Ooh. Just using some seal to pop that in place. Okay. Sentiment's going to sort of go at the midpoint there, overhanging the edge, because that looks cool. Just like that. Okay, and now we can add in our flowers, and we're going to use our wet glue to do that. Oh, ribbon. My favourite ribbon in the entire world. This tulle ribbon, I just love it. Just so versatile. I mean, I don't tend to colour it, but you can. And it's just fantastic just to add an additional piece, a bit of texture, without distracting from the rest of your design. So I'm just going to put sort of a blob of glue there, and because it's sort of a mesh, that's going to seep through that material and keep that in place once it's dry. Okay, and we're going to put a flower over where they meet anyway. So we'll do that with wet glue, so it will all sort of seep through and hold that in place really nicely. And it kind of ties everything together. And we can add in our other flowers. So I'm just looking just so that things overlap with the petals, but we're not obscuring the sentiment. One more to pop in just there. So we just hold those down just for a moment, just so that they get well adhered. We'll add in our little sprigs, just a bit of glue on the end there, and just tuck that in. So it just sort of follows that ribbon up the card again, ties it all together. This one's going to tuck in on this side. Like so. And then all we need to do is add in an embellishment to the centres. I'm just going to help those along with the merest bit of glue, just so that it helps them stick down. And I really, I'd kind of forgotten I had these. These are the Elegant Faceted Gems. Yeah. These are in the annual catalogue. And you get white, clear and petal pink ones. They're really, really, really nice. But those white are more of a pearl. I think we'll use those ones as opposed to the clear ones. Use the clear ones on the other one. Let's use those. Oh yes, that's pretty. They do have a bit of a shimmer to them as well, which is lovely. Nice pearly finish. So they're not bright white, so that it's in keeping with the colour, because we've used the vanilla rather than white. Cool. There we go. That's nice. I think I prefer the pink one, but obviously we will make our cards to suit our recipients. So obviously if someone really loves purple, they're going to love that, aren't they? And bringing in the vanilla, so you've got more of a vintage feel to this one. That's what I was going for. But I think I prefer the pink one, personally. Even though I'm not really a pink girl, generally speaking. But yeah, there you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, all the bits and bobs will be linked in the description bar. Do check it out. I'm really happy with those cards. Okay, brilliant. Thanks a lot, everyone. Remember to stay safe out there, won't you? Take care. I'll see you again soon. Ta-ta.